was at least part of it, and
Mhm.
then maybe met her and was like, oh no, it's platonic, at least for now.
Well, also, I think like as judgmental as she was about Fleur, is in my head how judgmental she was about Hermione that first summer, even though we don't get to read it because Harry didn't see it. But
Right.
I imagine she was like, okay, this little girl is very outspoken and opinion. Like, why does she keep putting her opinion out there? Like, what is happening here? Like, because I can't imagine the Hermione we knew from school was not the Hermione that stayed at the Burrow, you know? Like,
But
they've been
also,
getting rid of gnomes for 25, 30 years in this house, and she's going to come in there and tell them how to really do it. Like,
do you think there was part of it though with Molly that was because she always wanted a daughter and she has one, and one is enough and that's amazing. However, do you think part of her was like, oh, another girl. Okay. Maybe I
I
can impart some knowledge. Oh, she doesn't want knowledge. Okay. All right.
I
I think
think
yes.
I think that was yes for the first 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I
And
also
that's the
think,
thing. I think both of them were super excited about each other for a week. And then
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, a wizarding mob. Oh, a wizarding mob.
the other thing is, I'm sure at the end of the day, having had to feed all these mouths, having had to clean up for all these people, there was some relief in her that Arthur could go talk to someone else about all this muggle stuff. Because if he, I mean, he works in muggle artifacts, he talks about muggle stuff all day. When he comes home from work, I'm sure that was the dinner conversation. And she was like, dude, I just need 5 minutes of peace. And finally, he had someone else to go talk about it, and she got her 5 minutes of peace. So I think another piece of her was going, Hermione, go talk to Arthur, please.
actually,
He'll
that's
be
a really good
fascinated by your
point.
lifestyle.
Right?
I think that's a really good point. I think that Hermione and Arthur probably got super, super close more, and she was probably expecting to be close to Molly and then was like, okay, no, and went over to Arthur, but observed Molly. Like I could see Hermione kind of just watching her, waiting to see
Yeah.
if something else happens. Because the other thing
Observing.
about Molly's house is that it is very, very automated. Like the dishes are doing themselves, the knitting is doing
Oh,
its. She has this incredible family clock that no one else seems to have. Like there's a lot going on in the house that I do think a part of Hermione was the part of her that needs to learn things was probably fascinated about how Molly was keeping all of that going
Mm-hmm.
at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think that there was a dislike of any sort. I don't
No,
think there
no.
was a disrespect of any sort. But the 12-year-old kid that we met, 12,
mhm.
13-year-old who liked to tell people and be bossy, had a captive audience in Arthur who wanted to know about authenticity. And she was able to impart all of her knowledge, you know, whereas Molly would have just been like, that's nice, dear, and gone about finishing what she was doing.
Yeah.
And I think the realization of, oh my gosh, she's keeping this whole household going with these like continuous spells and all of these different parts, that would not have happened until 14 or 15.
I don't think
She
she
would have
would
been
have
at the Burrow a
realized
couple
so
years.
much. Yeah, I think she would have been too. I mean, she was a little shit. I mean, I love the girl, but she really was. She
Yeah,
was.
but I try to also imagine she wouldn't have gone to the Burrow till after Chamber of Secrets. And I think there's a little bit of humbleness to Hermione after getting taken down by a basilisk that she might
But
have gone
also
into.
she's also a British private school student. So that's the other level of there's going to be the respect. Any thoughts that she has will stay in her heart.
Right?
Or expounded to Ginny when they're in the room alone.
Or expounded to Ginny. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure, and Ginny, of course, is hearing, stuff about her mom and just like, thank God I can talk to someone about this.
also be like, so Ginny, what else does your mom do?
Yeah.
Like, because that's the other thing. In the Muggle world, women, even let's say you are a housewife and you are taking care of the home and taking care of the family and everything else. Many times those same women belong to clubs and go out and have ladyhood lunch events or sponsors the PTA or all these other things that we don't get to see Molly do.
Mhm.
And I also wonder if that ever came up, is, so Molly, what do you do for fun? Like, so
Because she's
like I can
also,
honestly
yeah,
see little Hermione, who was very,
Linear.
who had no filters, grilling Molly for a while too to try to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's
and
oh, go ahead.
if she was closer to a more metropolitan area, I could see that happening, but she's an Audrey St. Catchpole. I don't, as much as I want Molly to have some kind of like community knitting group or something like that, I hope that it existed and we don't see it because Harry wouldn't fucking know about that. But she's kind of isolated.
Yeah.
I think she was too. I think Hermione was hoping to get something out of her, and Molly's responses were, well, do you know how hard it is to keep 7 kids going?
I was gonna say, and then when they're finally all at Hogwarts, oh my gosh.
Right, right. So let's fast forward. Hermione has gotten some humility. She's also gotten a little bit more of what's available in the greater wizarding world.
She's also developed tact.
She's developed some tact. Meanwhile, Molly, as we know, has been still stuck at home, only has the visiting radio and the newspaper to give her information about what's been happening. And we now get to 5th and 6th year summers. Well, 5th year before they go to Grimmauld. How do you think their relationship went after the Triwizard Tournament?
So we know there was some tension
Tension.
because
Yeah.
Molly was reading Rita Skeeter and taking it as gospel and being rude to a 14-year-old.
Yes.
And so there was definitely some tension there. I think getting further along, once Hermione realized, oh wait, I have feelings for Ron, that might have inspired a little bit more of, hey Molly, do you need help with the dishes? Like just a little bit of, let me try to endear myself to you because I like your son and your son's an idiot.
So what do you think about Molly? Like, TC, what do you think Molly was, let's say the week before they're coming home from getting off that train, summer's about to begin. She now knows what she read was lies. She can't take back Christmas and the bad present. She can't take back the words she said. But this little girl's coming to her house, and Ginny has probably said Ron likes her. The twins have probably said little Ronnie has a crush on the girl that she knows she was mean to. Where's Molly's brain, TC?
Why do I feel like I'm on the chopping block? No, honestly, I think Molly has an interesting way of looking at the world from what we see of her, where she's both feels guilty and refuses to acknowledge that she has any reason to feel guilty. So I could see Molly, she's very good at an inner monologue that justifies her feelings at any given moment. And a lot of us do that, but Molly, I see that in her. So I think Molly's head would be, well, how was I supposed to know? Obviously, I know now, but how would I know? I'm just going to be really nice to her and let it go. If it comes up, I will just say, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I only had what I had. But honestly, how was I supposed to know? Like, I that's where I think Molly is. I think she's planning a very kind summer But in her mind, she refuses to see where she was completely off the rails.
Okay. Because I was going to say the one thing I foresee is like Hermione's favorite dinner was what they got the first night they got back. And she had this belated gift that she found and she didn't realize she hadn't sent to school.
I think
Oh my
Hermione
God, here's the rest of your chocolate.
I think Hermione at least got her own Weasley scarf. Maybe not a full sweater, but she got like a scarf. And possibly, I like the idea of the dinner. I do think she probably said, Ginny, I think it's time for you, Hermione, and I to have like a little girls' time. Like, I think she took more, I think she kind of drew Ginny into it as a buffer without actually saying, I need you to buffer between me and Hermione. But I think she definitely had Ginny like, let's all do our nails together. Well, let's talk just the girls. Well, you girls come in here to the kitchen and you work with me. Like I could see that kind of behavior, which would be so the opposite of what Hermione would want to do. And that's what the funniest part of that is, because I don't think it would have occurred to Molly at up to that point that her next step would be, I need to actually get to know this girl, because I don't think Molly realized that she didn't know her.
Right.
I don't think Molly actually went to the next steps of I need to go this girl until know her until after the war was over. Because by the time she would have made that realization, the war happens and she had other things on her mind.
Get to know her as Ron's friend or as Ron's possible love interest.
Either.
Because I feel like she would want to get, if there's, it's one of her son's best friends. It's like no one else is having, Lee Jordan isn't hanging out at the Burrow.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think she would have gotten to the realization that she didn't know her.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
After the war. Like in her mind, she's Ronnie's friend. She's Harry's friend. I know that child. I know her mother. It's fine. But not really recognizing that she doesn't know her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I think she probably would have come to the realization that she should get to know her right before 5th year. After, Triwizard, they come after 4th year, they get there, and then boom, you're at Grimmel Place all summer, and you don't have time for that.
When do you think, because we now hit the portion of very close-minded people. When we get to 6th year, it is everybody's mind is made up of where things stand. In Molly's mind, these are children. They should not be in this. We don't care what Dumbledore might have said or not said. We want to keep them out of it. In Hermione's mind, we have been through shit for the past 5-6 years. We are only people who can save this. We are yes, we're children, but we might as well be adults, is I'm sure where her head was. So that is a difficult place. But let's go straight shot. We're jumping in. Final battle. They're now seeing and everybody talks about Molly, and not my daughter, you bitch is literally one of my favorite lines ever written.
Iconic.
Okay. But it's also the first time Molly is truly seeing Hermione fight. Think about it. She's never been there for all their stuff. She's heard about how brilliant she is. She's never seen her in action. So having said that, where do you two see their reactions to seeing one another in battle?
That's interesting. I'm gonna let Sam tackle that first. And Mel, you're not getting out of also answering this question. Just
yeah,
and
I agree.
I'm posing it to you two first.
I know. So Sam, you go first, because I think dog sounds in the background.
I think the Molly side is a little bit more prevalent. I don't want to say obvious, but it's because we all had the same reaction that Hermione probably had of, wow, this is a housewife. This is someone that we love so much, that has been part of our family as a reader. and seeing her in straight up fight mode